For decades, Bishop T.D. Jakes stood as one of the most recognizable religious figures in America. From packed arenas to presidential gatherings, his voice carried across churches, television networks, bookshelves, and online platforms around the world. Millions admired his emotional sermons, motivational teachings, and rise from humble beginnings into the leader of a global ministry empire. Yet in recent years, that reputation became entangled in a wildfire of internet rumors, conspiracy theories, manipulated videos, and social media speculation tied to the legal troubles surrounding music mogul Sean Combs. Suddenly, the respected pastor found himself at the center of one of the internet's most explosive gossip storms. Viral thumbnails, fabricated images, and sensational headlines painted a picture that many viewers accepted without question. But beneath the noise was a more complicated reality involving online misinformation, legal disputes, public scrutiny, and a deeply personal health crisis. The story of T.D. Jakes became more than celebrity gossip. It evolved into a modern example of how digital culture can reshape public perception overnight, especially when fame, controversy, and artificial intelligence collide in the harsh spotlight of internet virality. The early years that shaped a future preacher, Thomas Dexter Jakes, was born on June 9, 1957, in South Charleston, West Virginia, into a hard-working family that valued discipline, faith, and perseverance. Long before he stood before stadium crowds, he was known in school as, quote, Bible boy, because of his fascination with scripture and preaching. While many children dreamed of sports or entertainment careers, young Thomas imagined himself speaking to congregations and inspiring people through ministry. His father, Ernest Jakes Sr., operated a janitorial business, while his mother, Odith, taught home economics and emphasized practical life skills and education. The family was deeply rooted in faith and community values, but life was far from easy. When Thomas was still young, his father developed kidney disease, forcing the family into emotional and financial strain. Watching his father suffer had a profound impact on him. After Ernest passed away in 1973, teenage Thomas faced grief while trying to find direction in his own life. Despite having a slight speech impediment and hearing criticism that he would never become a successful preacher, he refused to abandon his calling. Those difficult years built the resilience that would later define both his ministry and his public image. Building a ministry from almost nothing. At only 23 years old, Jakes launched a tiny storefront ministry in Montgomery, West Virginia, called Greater Emmanuel Temple of Faith. The congregation reportedly began with just 10 members, and survival was uncertain from the start. To support himself and his young family, he worked long shifts at a chemical plant while preaching whenever he could. His wife, Sarita Jakes, also worked tirelessly to help keep the household financially stable. The couple faced hardships that could easily have ended the dream before it ever expanded. Then, the chemical plant shut down, leaving him unemployed and struggling to support both his ministry and his family. Yet instead of quitting, he doubled down on his efforts. He traveled to churches, preached revival services, and started radio broadcasts that slowly increased his visibility. His speaking style stood out because it blended emotional storytelling with direct spiritual encouragement. Audiences connected with his authenticity and his ability to speak openly about pain, struggle, healing, and perseverance. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, his ministry expanded rapidly across different communities. What began as a tiny storefront church gradually transformed into a movement that would eventually influence millions across the country and far beyond American borders. The sermon that changed everything forever. The turning point in Jakes's career arrived with a sermon series titled, Woman, Thou Art Loosed. At a time when many male religious leaders avoided discussions about trauma, abuse, emotional pain, and the struggles women faced inside families and communities, Jakes addressed those topics directly. The message resonated with audiences nationwide and quickly became a phenomenon within Christian media circles. Conferences filled arenas, books became bestsellers, and television broadcasts introduced him to millions of viewers who had never heard his name before. The success of the ministry opened doors to major speaking engagements and national recognition. By the mid-1990s, Jakes relocated to Dallas, Texas, where he founded the Potter's House, a massive non-denominational church that rapidly became one of the largest congregations in America. Membership surged into the tens of thousands, while his influence extended into publishing, filmmaking, and leadership conferences. He eventually advised political leaders and appeared alongside public figures including presidents and celebrities. His rise represented a classic American success story built on persistence, charisma, and relentless ambition. To supporters, he became proof that faith and determination could elevate someone from poverty into extraordinary prominence on the global stage. How the Diddy controversy pulled him into chaos. Viral videos, deepfakes, and the rise of AI misinformation. As online attention intensified, manipulated media became one of the most controversial parts of the saga. Numerous videos circulated showing fabricated images of Jakes in handcuffs, prison uniforms, or compromising situations. According to statements from his legal team and supporters, many of these materials were generated or heavily altered using artificial intelligence technology. To casual viewers scrolling quickly through social media feeds, the videos often appeared convincing enough to create outrage and suspicion. The rapid growth of AI-generated content made it increasingly difficult for many people to distinguish fact from fabrication. Jakes's representatives argued that malicious creators were using his image for financial gain through viral engagement and advertising revenue. The controversy reflected a larger cultural concern about how emerging technology can distort public understanding and damage reputations before truth has a chance to catch up. False information spread far faster than corrections or legal clarifications. Online commentators repeatedly amplified theories without independent verification, while algorithms rewarded sensationalism with massive visibility. What began as gossip evolved into a coordinated wave of misinformation that reportedly involved thousands of suspicious accounts and automated activity. For many observers, the situation became a warning about the dangerous intersection of celebrity culture, AI technology, and internet outrage. T.D. Jakes responds to the accusations publicly, a medical emergency that shocked the world. While the controversy continued online, Jakes faced a deeply personal crisis that shifted public attention dramatically. During a live church service on November 24, 2024, viewers watched as the pastor suddenly appeared weak and collapsed while speaking from the pulpit. Congregants rushed toward him as confusion and concern filled the sanctuary. The moment quickly spread across social media because it was captured live on camera before thousands of viewers. Initial statements from the church described the situation cautiously, but concern grew as supporters around the world prayed for his recovery. Later, Jakes revealed that the incident had been far more serious than many initially realized. He disclosed that he had suffered a massive heart attack and required emergency medical intervention. According to his own account, doctors told him the timing had been critical and that a delay of only minutes could have been fatal. The experience profoundly affected both his personal outlook and his leadership decisions. Many supporters viewed his survival as miraculous, while critics and conspiracy theorists attempted to connect the health emergency to the ongoing internet scandal despite lacking evidence. The incident became another chapter in a period already filled with public pressure, emotional exhaustion, and non-stop scrutiny surrounding his name and ministry. Returning to the stage after nearly dying months. After the frightening medical emergency, Jakes gradually returned to public life and ministry with renewed emotion and reflection. During interviews and church appearances, he described the terrifying experience of realizing how close he had come to death. He explained that he underwent emergency surgery and later reflected on feelings of peace during the crisis. His comments resonated deeply with supporters who saw the event as a reminder of mortality, faith, and resilience. Returning to the same stage where he had collapsed reportedly filled him with anxiety, yet he chose to stand there again as part of his recovery journey. Public sympathy increased after many people saw footage of the incident and heard his personal account afterward. Even individuals who questioned aspects of his ministry acknowledged the seriousness of what he survived. However, internet speculation did not disappear completely. Some online personalities continued using the controversy for attention and engagement, blending medical updates with unsupported conspiracy theories. Despite that environment, Jakes continued speaking publicly and participating in ministry activities. His return symbolized determination to preserve both his spiritual mission and his personal legacy. For followers who admired him for decades, the moment reinforced the image of a preacher refusing to surrender despite enormous physical and emotional challenges. Passing leadership to the next generation. In April 2025, Jakes announced a major transition that marked the end of an era for the Potter's House. He revealed that he would step down as senior pastor and transfer leadership responsibilities to his daughter, Sarah Jakes Roberts, and her husband, Toure Roberts. The decision reflected both practical concerns about his health and a broader desire to secure the future of the ministry he had spent decades building. During emotional remarks to the congregation, he explained that after surviving a life-threatening health crisis, he could not risk leaving the church unprepared for the future. The transition ceremony later became a highly symbolic event attended by church members, ministry leaders, and supporters who recognized the significance of the moment. Jakes framed the leadership change not as retirement, but as an expansion into broader community and humanitarian work beyond the weekly responsibilities of senior pastorship. For many followers, the passing of leadership represented continuity rather than collapse. It also highlighted the growing role of Sarah Jakes Roberts as a major voice within modern Christian ministry. The handover demonstrated how institutions built around influential personalities must eventually prepare for generational transition and long-term survival. The truth, the rumors, and the legacy still being written. Despite endless speculation online, no court proceeding has identified T.D. Jakes as a defendant, co-conspirator, or criminal participant in the legal cases involving Sean Combs. Much of the public confusion stemmed from viral misinformation, edited content, and the tendency of social media culture to treat allegations as established truth before evidence is verified. That reality does not mean every critic will suddenly become convinced of his innocence, nor does it erase the broader debates surrounding celebrity pastors, wealth, influence, and public accountability. However, separating confirmed facts from internet fiction remains essential. The story surrounding Jakes ultimately became about more than scandal. It exposed how rapidly digital narratives can spiral beyond control, especially when artificial intelligence, outrage-driven algorithms, and celebrity culture combine into a non-stop online spectacle. At the same time, the pastor's near-death experience, leadership transition, and continued public visibility added emotional depth to the conversation. Whether admired as a spiritual leader or criticized as a powerful public figure, Jakes remained standing after one of the most turbulent periods of his life. His journey from a tiny West Virginia storefront church to the center of a global controversy reflects both the extraordinary reach of modern fame and the dangerous volatility of the internet age.